I'm Sam Opeche. Welcome to the Marriage Workshop, the place where we bring you tried and tested wisdom, tried and tested principles, information and knowledge that will help you to build an intimate marriage relationship. Welcome to the Marriage Workshop. I'm so excited about the topic I'm about to share with you today. Now, before we get into that, can you do me a favor? If you are not subscribed to our channel, the subscribe indication at the bottom of the video, please click on it. Also, make sure you turn on the bell. There's a bell you can see on the right-hand side of the video. Make sure you turn on that bell, because by doing so, you will be the first to know about every video that we post on the Marriage Workshop. I'm really excited about the topic that I want to share with you today. And it is how to prevent conflict in your marriage. How to prevent conflicts in your marriage. Now, I know that conflict is something that a lot of us in marriage are used to. In fact, sometimes it is something that you cannot avoid, because a marriage is made up of two individuals from different background, different perspective, different ways of looking at the same thing. Now, because that is the situation, you are bound sometimes to have disagreement. But I want you to know today that you can prevent conflict from growing and building and bringing this harmony in your marriage. So what I am about today is to give you six keys, six valuable keys, six valuable principles that will help you to prevent. What I'm about today is prevention. I want you to be able to prevent conflicts in your marriage before they become a massive issue. Now, how did I come about this topic? Actually, I came about this topic when one of our subscribers asked us this question. They said, my spouse and I often don't have big fights, but we have plenty of little disagreement. A lot of little disagreement. And I found that pain simmers in my heart because of this constant disagreement. How can we stop this from happening? Not that the disagreement, according to this person, they're not big issues. It's those little things. But because they keep happening all the time, and I can imagine that there may be one or two of you who find yourself in this same kind of scenario. That's why I have decided to bring this topic today. How to prevent conflict in your marriage. Now, before we go into the these six keys that I want to talk to you about today, I want you to watch this video. It's a video that I've used a couple of times. Just watch it because it really works. Now I'm just gonna allow it to play one more time. Now see what's playing out here. The guy is sat down trying to eat his sandwich, listen to music. The lady is trying to hoover the house, and maybe the guy is saying, why are you hoovering at the same time that I'm trying to listen to music and eat my sandwich in peace? Instead of them to find a way, just to work together, the guy gets up, uses it with his feet, he switches off the hoover, and then there's a bit of shoving here and there, and look, just watch how the guy gives her, a stare. So you see the stare that he gives to her. Already you can see something building. You can see animosity and anger starting to build in this relationship. And this could have been prevented. This, with a little bit of understanding, this could have been prevented. There is no need to get into what you're saying now. The lady gets angry, shoves him, he pulls the plug, gives her a stare. Now let's jump straight into these keys. 6 keys that will help you to prevent any of this kind of scenario that you're seeing here. What is the key number 1? Key number 1 is learn to say what you mean. Learn to say what you mean. Oftentimes, people say things that they don't mean to say. And because they say those things they don't mean to say, it gets the other person worked up. It gets their back up. They jump on the defensive. But when we learn to say what we mean to say, when we learn to say it, in a way that is not offensive, in a way that does not connote, as if we are in a warfare situation, that gets the other person listening. Now, I gave a scenario here. For example, I like to watch football, and maybe like me, your husband likes to watch football, and he spends Saturday evening, most Saturday evening, he spends watching football. Now, it will be wrong for you because you're feeling left out, because you feel that your husband is not paying enough attention to you on Saturday evening. You want quality time. He wants to watch football. Now, it would be wrong for you to come and say something like, I hate football. It would be wrong for you to say that, because I know that that's not what you mean to say. How do I know that? Because football is not the problem. The problem is not that you hate football. The problem is that your husband is spending more time with football as opposed to spending more time with you. So the issue is not the football. Now, rather than you say, I hate football, say something like, I wish you could spend some quality time with me on Saturday evenings, but it seems that football takes your priority. Now, I can guarantee you, if you say that to your husband, if you came across in that way, they would want to listen to you. It is only a man who is out of his senses that would not want to be attentive to listen when their wife approaches an issue in this way, rather than saying, I hate football, I hate, whatever it is that you think your spouse is spending more time on instead of paying attention to you. So rather than say, I hate that thing, come across and say, I wish you could spend more time with me. I really desire for you and I to spend more quality time. But it seems to me that football, it seems to me that TV, whatever may be the object, is more important to you. Now, when you come across like that, the other person is more 9 times out of 10. In fact, I can take it to the bank and say 10 times out of 10, they would be willing to listen, because such an approach opens up room for discussion. It opens up room for discussion. It's not condemnatory. But when you come out outrightly and say, I hate this, I hate that, then you get the person's backup. Now, I said here, think carefully about what really upset you before you speak. You need to learn to think carefully about what it is that is upsetting you before you speak. Say what you mean. Say what you mean. Number 2, use I messages. Learn to use I messages. What do I mean by I messages? Now, just like I said in the previous example, it is more open and honest when you say something like, I sometimes feel ignored and lonely because of this and that you do or don't do. Sometimes I feel so. That I message helps you to convey your feelings, not in a confrontational way, not in an agitated way. So learn to use the I message. One thing that you must avoid in trying to prevent conflict in your marriage is you shouldn't use words like you never pay any attention to me. That's a no-no. Don't say that. Don't say to your husband, don't say to your wife, you never pay any attention to me. You see, the problem I have with those kind of statements at times is that they are often exaggerations. When you say you never, that's not true. Because I can bet you there are times when he or she have paid attention to you. Now, instead of coming across in that aggressive, agitative way, why don't you look for, how you can convey your message using the I statement. I feel, I would love it if, I would rather if, I wish sometimes that you could. When you say that to your spouse, they are not likely to jump on the defensive. They want to listen to you. They want to know exactly, what is your need, what is your demand in that discussion. Now, what is number 3? Number 3 says, don't use generalization. How many times have you seen couples generalize about issues, generalize about things? Don't use generalization. Generalization is not healthy for any conversation. Now, one of the things that you must learn to avoid is this word, always. When you say you are always talking to your mother on the phone, you never pay any attention to me. Those kind of statements are accusations. And there is only one person, there is only one accuser that I am aware of. His name is Satan. The Bible calls him the accuser of the brethren. Don't become an accuser of your husband. Don't become an accuser of your wife. Don't use words like you're always talking to your mother on the phone. You never pay any attention to me. No, that is wrong. That will not help you to prevent conflict in your marriage. Don't generalize. Flipping back to the first key that I gave you, it is about saying what you mean to say. Now, what is number 4? Number 4 says, avoid using blame words. Avoid using blame words. Now, you will see in a lot of the examples that I'm bringing your way today, I am trying to get you to convey a feeling. If you can convey your feelings to your spouse, if you find a way to be able to convey how you feel, not your anger, not your animosity, but the way you feel, if you can learn how to convey that, you will get better results. You will prevent conflict from happening in your marriage. So avoid using blame words. Now, say things like, I feel, I think, I wish, instead of you are, you should, you could, you should have done this, you could have done that. You are always doing that. You know, all of those kind of generalized statements that we make oftentimes doesn't really help the case. Now I said here, no blaming, no shaming. You know, I really wish that many husbands, many wives would take this on board. You see, your marriage is not a place of warfare and competition. It's a place of complement. And in complementing one another, you don't allow blame and shaming to take place. You don't allow that to take place. Because when you allow blaming and shaming to build up in your marriage, you are constantly going to get your spouses back up. They will go on the defensive, and they will not be prepared to listen to you. So avoid using blame words. You are not, unless you're not interested in building an intimate marriage relationship, unless you're not interested in building a healthy relationship, if your interest is in developing a fulfilling and robust marital relationship, you have got to avoid this word, blame. Instead of blame, I like to think about accountability. I like to think about responsibility. Oftentimes, you know, there is something very peculiar about us as human beings. We like to focus on the negative. We like to see the things that somebody hasn't done right. We like to see the things that somebody has done wrong. That's what catches our eyes the most. If you can learn to reverse the trend, reverse the way you think, you know, and focus more on complimenting your spouse, you will go a long way in preventing conflict in your marriage. So avoid the blame word. No blaming, no shaming. Don't use words like you are, you should, you could. You know, convey your feeling. Say, I feel, I think, I wish. Now, number 5. Focus on your thoughts and feeling. I told you a lot of this key that I'm sharing with you is trying to help you to find a way to convey your feelings. Because come to think about it, it is actually your feelings that is making you unhappy about what your spouse has done. So why don't you find a way to convey that? Focus on your thoughts and your feelings. Focus on your thoughts and your feelings, not on your spouse's failures and mistakes. Nobody likes the spotlight to be shone on them every time. When somebody constantly shines the spotlight on you, you know, you get a bit edgy. You get a little bit uncomfortable. You kind of like recline, and you don't want to participate any longer. So rather than focusing on your spouse's failures and mistakes, rather than going on and on about the things they haven't done, you know, focus more on your thoughts and your feelings. Focus on your thoughts And like we saw in the step, the key before that, the fourth key, try and express that feeling. So don't be critical or create defensive responses. What I mean by that is when you become overly critical, there are times where you need, to evaluate yourselves. There are times when you need to look at things with the eyes of evaluation, and because you want to get better, because none of us is perfect. But don't become overly critical, because when you become overly critical, you create a defensive response in the person, in your spouse, in the person that you're talking to. Now, factor number 6, point number 6, be willing to say sorry. That magic word, sorry. Be willing to say sorry. Don't forget, I'm talking to you about prevention, how you can prevent conflict. You must be willing to say you're sorry. Sometimes, whether you're right or wrong, be willing to say you're sorry. Because what you don't want to happen is for the conflict to build and graduate and graduate and graduate and become a big pile that you and your spouse find very challenging and difficult to deal with. So be willing to say you're sorry. Be humble. Be humble enough and come and say you're sorry. It is very important, I say here, to admit you are wrong when you are wrong. And I want to speak to the men. Us men, we have an ego. There is an ego about us that tells us sometimes that we shouldn't say sorry. But I want to speak to you guys. It is important for you to admit you are wrong when you are wrong. Be humble. I mean, like I said before, you are not in warfare with your wife. It's not a competition. You are there to complement one another. Another important thing that I've put down here is learn to express sorrow over the hurt your behavior has caused. Now, this is very important. You must learn to express that you are sorry for the hurt that your behavior has caused your spouse. There are some people that think that we should just sweep things under the carpet. There are people that think we shouldn't talk about it. They might say they are sorry. Now, when they have that kind of mentality, oftentimes it tells you that when they say they're sorry, it's only surface level sorry. It's not sorry that is coming from the heart. When sorry comes from the heart, it is always willing to express sorrow for the hurt the behavior has caused. If your behavior has caused your spouse sorrow, if your behavior has caused your spouse hurt, learn to be sorry for that behavior, and also learn not to repeat that same behavior. So be willing to say you're sorry. It is so important. Now, let's have a quick recap. Let's have a recap. What have I said so far? We are talking about preventing conflict in your marriage. And I've given you six keys, 6 valuable keys. The first one is say what you mean to say. Don't mean what you say. Some people mean what they say, but they don't say what they mean to say. It is more profitable for you to say what you mean to say than for you to mean what you say or what you said. Now, use I messages. I want, I desire, I feel, I think. Don't use generalization. Generalization is often an exaggeration. It is often a lie. It is often half-truth. It's often not the accurate picture. So don't use generalization. Avoid using blame words. Listen to me. If there is anything you take away from this short video today, it is learning not to use blame words. Stop blaming. Stop focusing on your spouse's failures and mistakes. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help your marriage. It's not going to help you prevent conflict in your marriage. Focus on your thoughts and your feelings. Remember, it is about how you're feeling. Convey that feeling. Learn to convey that feeling. And can I say when your spouse conveys feelings to you, don't rubbish it. Don't say, oh no, that's nonsense. Don't play down on it. Show concern, particularly when they have come across in a gracious way to say to you that what you have done made them feel a certain way. Don't play it down. Take it seriously. Finally, be willing to say you are sorry. The next video I'm going to post will be on a Friday, and in that video I will be talking about how to resolve conflict. How to resolve conflict, because I am not ignorant of the fact that sometimes these things cannot be prevented. Now, when they happen, when conflict happens, how do you resolve them? That's what I am going to talk about in the next video. So please do look out for it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you're not already subscribed, we would love you to subscribe to the channel. I hope that the information that you have got today will be of use to you. Certainly, some of it, if not all of them, will be of use to you. Go back and watch the video again. And if the video has really blessed you, don't forget to share it with your friends. There must be somebody in your family. There must be somebody in your circle who also needs to hear these 6 keys, these 6 valuable keys that will help them to prevent conflict in their marriage. Subscribe to this channel. Click the subscribe button and turn on the bell also, so that you can be in the know every time we post a video. Until I come your way again on Friday when we post the next video, this is the Marriage Workshop, where we bring you tried and tested wisdom, where we bring you tried and tested principles, information and knowledge to help you build an intimate marriage relationship. God bless you. Keep building, keep developing, keep growing, and I see you produce a fulfilling and robust marital relationship. God bless you.